When I ride my bike.
When I ride my skateboard.
When I ride, I take Max.
When I ride, my chair goes with me.
When we ride,
we're in a car.
When I ride low.
Hi, my name is Garrett Kransky, and I'm the Advocacy Director of the Bicycle Transportation Alliance. When I ride in our city, I usually take my bike, but often I ride transit, ride in cars and cabs, or just take a walk. Here in the central city, there are many transportation choices. People get around on bikes, buses, light rail. We use cars, streetcars, motorcycles, scooters, skateboards, and just by using our shoes to negotiate the streets of Portland. Did I mention horseback? With so much coming together, our awareness of each other is important for everyone's safety and comfort. We're negotiating not just the streets, we're negotiating with each other as we travel. This video explores safety situations which can arise where multiple modes of transportation come together: cars and bikes, streetcar tracks, and busy pedestrian crossings. First, let's take a look at a relatively new element of our streets, the bike box. You've probably seen these popping up all over. Bike boxes provide a more visible way to queue up at traffic lights and to navigate intersections. Here's an intersection where the bike box also aids in turning safely when crossing over the tracks in the street. Here, a person riding a bike wanting to turn left makes a two-step crossing. It's a maneuver we like to call the Portland pivot. This rider arrives from the bike lane and she proceeds forward with traffic most of the way across the intersection, reaching the bike box on the far side. With a quick pivot, she faces toward her intended direction, pauses, and then moves with the next phase of the traffic signal. Give the Portland pivot a try. It's soon to be playing at an intersection near you. So let's talk more about crossing tracks safely. This applies not just to light rail and streetcars, but to freight rail and abandoned tracks found in Portland streets, especially in new neighborhoods growing up out of old industrial areas. Rumor has it rains a lot in Portland. Wet tracks are very slippery for tires of all kinds. But even on dry days, meeting the tracks at the wrong angle is hazardous, and here's why. The wheels of trains sit up on top of rails, but they are actually guided in grooves called flangeways. Unfortunately, the grooves are just a bit bigger than the typical bike tire. If a rider crosses at a shallow angle, the tire can pop into the groove. And the rest isn't pleasant. Another potential hazard is the contact patch between the tire and the road. When negotiating corners, it's appropriate to lean in, but this means less grip on the road, just when you need it most, if crossing a rail. Here's what folks recommend as a safer crossing technique. Try to approach tracks as upright as possible and perpendicular to the rails. Some portions of our transit routes have street markings for bikes, which are helpful guides. However, this principle applies just about everywhere. Here, this rider is making a standard left turn, taking care to cross the tracks at a good angle. Riding between or parallel to the rails is risky. Look for another lane as your better option. At platforms, the rails move over to hug the curb, which can lead to an otherwise avoidable squeeze. When this close to rails, a little wobble can lead to a lot of trouble. There are a few places where many modes of travel and many routes come together that have particularly intricate tracks, and sometimes the best course of action is to take a nearby alternate route. Look for signs, sharrows, and pathways to guide you. And speaking of lane markings, a lot of folks don't know this, especially with so many new rails appearing around town. But the old-fashioned paint markings are still the edge of the lane, and the concrete guideway for the rails isn't always the thing to follow. Let's take a look here where vehicles coming down the ramp tend to straddle the lane markings in an effort to avoid the tracks. Some drivers may be naturally averse to the tracks, but the tire spacing on most cars and trucks is actually compatible with travel in the marked lanes with minimal track contact. And crossing markings creates an unsafe environment for people riding bikes and other vehicles in adjacent lanes. But what about pedestrians? Getting around on our own 2 feet, or scooter, or Segway, or chair, or, well, you get it, isn't quite as safe as we'd like. When hopping off a transit vehicle and crossing a street, sometimes you can't see cars and bikes, and they can't see you. When riding or driving past a stopped bus or streetcar, slow down to look for transit riders. And when crossing to or from a platform or stop, expect traffic from unexpected directions. The new streetcar loop project has doubled the number of marked, signalized crossings along the route. To make crossing busy streets safer for all involved, whether using transit, your own private vehicle, or just walking to a shop. With any new transportation project, we can see new signs, signals, and pavement markings appearing in our neighborhoods and on our routes. All public right-of-way users should be on the lookout for changes, upgrades, and new ways of interacting.
So, with a little care and a little attention to each other, we can all negotiate Portland streets safely and enjoyably. Whatever your ride is, let's get going.